Okay, welcome to class number 111. 111. 11 is my lucky number, so it's going to be a special class. The sentence, it's true that sales fell, but they didn't fall that much. Es verdad que las ventas cayeron, pero no cayeron tanto. So the expression, to be true, ser verdad. It's true, es verdad. Now, ojo, la pronunciación, TR, TR, it sounds like ch, como CH más R. So, for example, árbol, tree. Good, muy bien. Not tree. Tree is typical Spanish. So repeat, tree, tree. It's true. Okay, so it's true. Es verdad. For example, it's true that they were here. Es verdad que estuvieron aquí. Did Spain win the World Cup? Yes, it's true, right? Sí, es verdad. España ganó la Copa Mundial. It's true that she's a doctor. Es verdad que ella es médico. It's true that he's married. Es verdad que él está casado. So repeat, it's true. Es verdad. And the pronunciation TR, ch, true. It's true.
It's true that significa es verdad que. Además, nuestra expresión para es verdad no es it's truth, sino that's true. Literalmente es eso es verdadero o that's right. Literalmente es correcto. Ten en cuenta que, aunque en estos casos no es incorrecto recurrir al pronombre it como sujeto de la frase, that se emplea con mucha más frecuencia. Veamos estos tres ejemplos. It's true that I prefer cupcakes over torrijas. Is it true that you're moving abroad? It's true that she's a better singer.
Okay, let's continue with our lesson. The sentence was, it's true that sales fell, but they didn't fall that much. Es verdad que las ventas cayeron, pero no cayeron tanto. So here we're going to look at another irregular verb in past simple. Otro verbo irregular en pasado simple. The verb to fall, caer. So repeat, the verb to fall, caer. In past simple is fell. Fell. Ojo, no es felt, porque a lot of times I hear felt, pero felt is a past simple del verbo to feel, sentirse. Aquí es caer, to fall, pasado fell. So, sales fell, las ventas cayeron. Another example, the book fell on the floor. El libro cayó al suelo. More examples, the cake fell on the table. La tarta cayó a la mesa. The bottle fell on my foot. La botella se cayó a mi pie. And the word of the day, la palabra del día, is expenses, gastos. Repeat, expenses, gastos. So remember the verb to fall, irregular past, fell.
Apréndete bien que fell, sin T, es el pasado simple del verbo to fall, que es caer o caerse. Por ejemplo, me caí por las escaleras. Sería I fell down the stairs. Se te cayeron las llaves del bolsillo. Sería your keys fell out of your pocket. Y Jane se cayó al lago. Sería Jen fell into the lake. Apréndete bien que fell, otra vez sin T, es el pasado de fall, para evitar confundirlo más tarde con el pasado del verbo to feel, sentir, como hacen la mayoría de los estudiantes de inglés. Veamos estos tres ejemplos. I fell down on the street and twisted my ankle. My wallet fell into the swimming pool during the party. All those tree leaves fell earlier last fall.
Okay, you're doing a great job. Let's finish our class for today. It's true that sales fell, but they didn't fall that much. Es verdad que las ventas cayeron, pero no cayeron tanto. So we're looking at the expression that much, tanto. Now, ojo, normally, tanto significa so much, but aquí we have a negative, entonces se convierte en, it becomes that much, okay? Ojo, for example, they didn't fall that much. No, they didn't fall so much, okay? Because we have a negative sentence. So, no cayeron tanto. They didn't fall that much. I didn't eat that much. Yo no comí tanto. He didn't study that much. Él no estudió tanto. He didn't cry that much. He didn't run that much. Again, so ese tanto, because we have a negative sentence, we use that much y no so much. Si fuera afirmativo, sí. I ate so much. Yo comí tanto. Ahí sí, I ate so much. But here, we're saying that much. It's true that sales fell, but they didn't fall that much. Okay, keep practicing. We'll see you in the next class.
Para traducir al inglés, los precios no cayeron mucho, podemos decir prices didn't fall that much. En nuestra frase de hoy, it's true that sales fell, but they didn't fall that much actúa como una especie de comparativo y equivale a decir en castellano que es cierto que las ventas cayeron, pero no cayeron tanto. Vamos a ver estos tres ejemplos. It's true that we had a lot to eat, but we didn't eat that much. He says he knows a lot about cars, but he doesn't know that much. It's true that I can sleep for hours, but I don't sleep that much.
Hello and welcome to a new class. Are you ready for the intermediate class for today? Okay, great. I just came to make sure you're okay. Solo vine para asegurarme de que estás bien. So we're looking at a very common expression here with just, okay? Solo vine, solo te llamé, solo vi. So I just came, I just saw, okay? I just called, okay? Solo llamé, solo vine. So aquí we're saying, I just came to see or to make sure you're okay. I just wanted more time. Solo quería más tiempo. He just wanted to talk to her. Él solo quería hablar con ella. So, I just wanted, yo solo quería. I just came, solo vine. I just called, okay? Solo llamé, como la canción I just called to say I love you, right? Solo llamé para decirte que te quiero. Now the word of the day is to guarantee, garantizar. Repeat, to guarantee. So repeat, I just called, I just came, I just wanted. Solo. Okay, so keep practicing.
Una de nuestras palabras comodín en inglés es just. Difícil de traducir cuando simplemente aporta énfasis. Se podría decir que a veces equivale a vuestro es que. Por ejemplo, es que no quiero ir. I just don't want to go. En frases como I just called to say I love you, equivale a solamente, simplemente o únicamente. En inglés usamos just a cada paso. Veamos estos tres ejemplos. I just think you shouldn't catch that train. I'm just glad you're all here. We're just happy to see you again.
Okay, welcome back. Let's continue our class. Remember the sentence? I just came to make sure you're okay. Solo vine para asegurarme de que estás bien. So we saw I just came. Solo vine. Solo vine. I just came. Now, the verb to come. Venir. So, muy importante. To come. Primero, to come. Cierra bien, to come. And past, it's irregular, irregular. Came. Rima con name y game, okay? So, I just came to say hello. Solo vine para saludarte. They came here at 6. Vinieron a las 6. They came late, okay? Llegaron o vinieron tarde. He came on time. Él vino a tiempo. So again, the verb to come in past simple, irregular, is came. What time did you come here? I came here at 7. What time did they come here? They came here later. Vinieron más tarde, okay? So they came here. I came here. You came here. So don't forget la M. Los labios tienen que tocar con came.
Marca bien la M cuando digas en inglés yo vine, es decir, I came. Ella vino, she came. Llegó el lunes, Monday came. Y en general, siempre que pronuncies el pasado simple del verbo to come, came. Este verbo se suele traducir como venir, aunque también equivale a llegar, con expresiones de tiempo. Por ejemplo, todos estábamos listos cuando llegó la hora. Sería, we were all ready when the time came. Veamos estos 3 ejemplos. She came just to say hello. I think they just came for the food. They didn't seem too interested in the speech. I'm glad you came.
Okay, we're going to finish our lesson with the last part of our sentence. So, I just came to make sure you're okay. Solo vine para asegurarme de que estás bien. So, to make sure, ¿qué significa to make sure? It's a very, very useful verb or useful expression. Es asegurarse or comprobar. So, to make sure, for example, make sure they're eating. Asegúrate de que están comiendo. Make sure they're eating. Make sure the window is closed. Asegúrate de que la ventana está cerrada. So, I always make sure my students understand. Siempre me aseguro de que mis alumnos entienden, ¿ok? Entiendan. So, to make sure, asegurarse, or también comprobar. More examples. I just came to make sure everything's okay. Okay, solo vine para asegurarme de que todo está bien. So, did you make sure the door was locked? ¿Te aseguraste de que la puerta estaba cerrada? So again, to make sure you study this expression because it's very, very useful. Make sure you study every day. Make sure you practice your English. So to make sure.
En inglés existen al menos 2 formas de decir asegúrate de que están bien, que son make sure they're okay y ensure they're okay. Esta última es bastante menos común en el habla del día a día y más común en registros más formales. Muchos nativos confunden la ortografía del verbo to ensure, sinónimo de to make sure, con la de to insure, que significa asegurar una casa, un coche, etc. Veamos estos 3 ejemplos. Make sure the salad dressing doesn't have any vinegar. Derek is allergic. I just want to make sure that everything's fine. Did you make sure all the windows were closed?
Hello, and welcome to a new class. Thanks for being here today. So our sentence today is, I'm so forgetful. I always forget my things. Today, I left my wallet at home. Traducción. Soy tan olvidadiza. Siempre olvido mis cosas. Hoy me olvidé la cartera en casa. So the first sentence is, I'm so forgetful. Is soy tan olvidadiza. So, repeat, forgetful, forgetful. Y ojo, la pronunciación, no decimos forgetful. So remember, no es forgetful, pero esa UL es como full, forgetful. Are you forgetful? Or is your brother forgetful? Are your friends forgetful? I'm not very forgetful. Yo no soy muy olvidadiza. He's so forgetful. And how do we say en absoluto? Yo no soy nada, nada, or yo no soy olvidadiza. En absoluto. How do we say en absoluto? It's the word of the day. It's at all. At all. So, I'm not forgetful at all. Yo no soy nada, or yo no soy olvidadiza en absoluto. So, again, forgetful, to be forgetful.
Forgetful, olvidadizo, es uno de esos adjetivos que se forman añadiéndole al verbo correspondiente el sufijo full, con una sola L, por cierto. Otros ejemplos son useful, que es útil, harmful, que es perjudicial, o playful, que es juguetón. En algunos casos, si se cambia el sufijo full por less, obtenemos el adjetivo antónimo. Por ejemplo, useless es lo contrario de useful y harmless es lo contrario de harmful. Veamos los siguientes ejemplos. I'm so forgetful, I can never remember where I park my car. An agenda can be useful if you're so forgetful. Dr. Jones is harmless. He's just really forgetful.
Okay, welcome back. Let's continue with our lesson and with the example. I'm so forgetful. I always forget my things. Today, I left my wallet at home. Yo soy tan olvidadiza. Siempre olvido mis cosas. Hoy me olvidé la cartera en casa. So the next part here is I always forget my things. El verbo olvidar is to forget, no? To forget. Yo siempre olvido. I always forget my things, mis cosas. Now in Spanish, a lot of times we use las cosas, right? El o la o los o las. Pero en inglés, ¿qué pasa? Cuando es tuyo o es suyo o nuestro y tal, cambiamos ese el, la, los, las al adjetivo posesivo. So, I always forget my things. Aquí no decimos, I always forget the things. Siempre olvido las cosas. I always forget the things, ¿no? I always forget my things. Literalmente, mis cosas. Do you forget your things, right? ¿Olvidas tus cosas? Do you forget your things? Does he forget his things? Do they forget their things? So don't forget your things. No olvides tus cosas, ¿ok?
To forget es olvidar en general. Don't forget about me sería no te olvides de mí. Y también es olvidar en el sentido de dejarse algo en algún sitio. I always forget my things. Siempre olvido mis cosas. En las clases 57 y 96 vimos que to forget puede ir seguido de infinitivos con to, por ejemplo, I won't forget to call Stacy, no me olvidaré de llamar a Stacy, y he didn't forget to make the appointment. Él no se olvidó de concertar la cita. Añadiremos que a forget también le pueden seguir gerundios para expresar cosas como ¿cómo pudiste olvidar que cogiste un taxi anoche? Que sería How could you forget catching a taxi last night? Veamos los siguientes ejemplos. Don't forget your coat. I always forget my umbrella. I'll never forget celebrating my birthday on top of the Empire State Building.
Okay, great. We've reached the end of our class, so let's repeat the sentence again. I'm so forgetful. I always forget my things. Today, I left my wallet at home. Yo soy tan olvidadiza. Siempre olvido mis cosas. Hoy dejé la cartera en casa. So the last part is el verbo to leave. To leave. Okay, aquí, bueno, it has a lot of meanings. It has different meanings, but here it means dejar. Dejar en el sentido cuando dejas algo en un sitio, como te has olvidado de esa cosa. So, I left my wallet at home. Literalmente, yo dejé o olvidé, ¿no? Olvidé mi cartera en casa. I left my wallet at home. I left my book on the table. Yo dejé el libro en la mesa, como olvidé, right? Se me olvidó. So I left my book on the table. I left my car in the garage. And remember, usamos my, el adjetivo posesivo. Dejé el coche en el garaje. ¿Se entiende que es el tuyo, más o menos? So, aquí perfectamente, in English, we change the to my. I left my car in the garage. Dejé el coche en el garaje. So repeat, I'm so forgetful. I always forget my things. Today, I left my wallet at home.
Mientras que en castellano decís, me dejé la cartera en casa, o bien me olvidé la cartera en casa, en inglés solo solemos usar el verbo to leave en estos casos y decimos I left my wallet at home. Por cierto, el pasado del verbo to leave es left, tanto cuando significa dejar como cuando significa irse. Veamos estos tres ejemplos. I'm afraid I left my keys on the door. You left all the lights on too. And she left the water running. Let's go back.
Okay, hello again. Welcome to a new day and to a new class. Let's take a look at our example. She wrote it down in her diary and then put it back in the drawer. Ella lo apuntó en su diario y después lo guardó en el cajón. So we're looking at the verb to write down. It's a phrasal verb, un verbo compuesto, to write down. To write más preposición down. It means que anotar, apuntar, escribir, okay? She wrote it down. Ella lo apuntó. So remember, when you're watching our class, make sure, asegúrate de que te apuntas, right? Make sure you write down the words, the grammar, the vocabulary, and you write down the lesson. Okay, so please write down all of your notes. I wrote down his address. Okay, yo escribí su dirección. So again, the verb to write down in pasado simple, it's irregular. Okay, to write down y pasado wrote down. I wrote the address down. I wrote down the address. So she wrote it down. Ella lo apuntó. Okay, she wrote it down. I wrote it down. He wrote it down.
Además de ver aquí el pasado simple del verbo to write, que es wrote, también veremos el verbo compuesto to write down. To write something down o to write down something significa anotar algo. Aprovechamos para recordarte que, igual que la W de write es muda y se pronuncia write, también lo es la W de wrote, que se pronuncia wrote. Veamos los siguientes ejemplos. The students wrote down what the teacher dictated. They wrote it all down. I wrote down everything. That's right, I wrote everything down.
Okay, great. Welcome back. Let's continue with our lesson. She wrote it down in her diary and then put it back in the drawer. Ella lo apuntó en su diario y luego lo guardó en el cajón. So we're looking at the expression and then, y después, and then. Now this is very, very useful when we tell, different events, different actions that happen. Okay, and then, y después. Y no es, we never say after. Okay, after I went to the beach, after I ate lunch, after I called my brother. No, ahí metemos and then, or then, and then. Okay, after is después de. Hay que decir después de qué. After the meeting, after the party. Ahora sí, pero como y después, conectando acciones o eventos simplemente con and then. For example, I went to the park. And then I studied. And the word of the day is que. How do we say sensible in English? It's, no es como crees, it's sensitive, not sensible. Es amigo falso. So sensible in English, the word of the day is sensitive. Okay, keep practicing.
Nuestro objetivo con este teaching point es que empieces a utilizar then o and then en lugar del incorrecto and after cuando enumeres una serie de acciones. Por ejemplo, fíjate, I fell down on the street. Then I caught a taxi. Then I left my jacket in the taxi and then I ran back to the taxi, but it was too late. Veamos los siguientes ejemplos. He spoke to her and then she left. The kids finished playing and then put all their toys away. They're planning to move in together and then maybe to get married.
Okay, we're at the last part of our lesson, so let's repeat the class and the sentence one more time. She wrote it down in her diary and then put it back in the drawer. Ella lo apuntó en su diario y después lo guardó en el cajón. So we're looking at another phrasal verb here. Ooh, phrasal verbs. You have to practice them. So, to put back. To put back. It means que guardar en su sitio, colocar de nuevo o poner en su sitio. So to put back, for example, I put the book back. Or también puedes decir, I put back the book. Si decimos el sustantivo, the noun, da igual, entre o después de las dos partes. I put the book back. I put back the book. Pero ojo, lo guardé is I put it back. We use a pronoun here, the object pronoun, el complemento pronombre. We have to use entre las dos partes. I put it back. No decimos I put back it. Suena muy mal. So, please put the clothes back. Put them back. Ah, ¿te has fijado? So, todos juntos. She wrote it down in her diary and then put it back in the drawer. Keep practicing.
El pasado simple del verbo poner en inglés to put es put. Por otro lado, to put something back somewhere es volver a poner algo en el lugar que le corresponde o en el sitio donde estaba antes de cogerlo. To put back es un verbo compuesto separable y, de hecho, lo normal es colocar el objeto directo entre put y back. Por ejemplo, can you please put those books back? ¿Puedes poner esos libros en su sitio, por favor? O can you please put them back? Es decir, ¿puedes volver a ponerlos donde estaban, por favor? Y veamos estos ejemplos. He put his lighter back on the table and left. I'll put the butter back in the fridge as soon as I finish my toast. They put the blanket back on the bed in the morning.
Hello and welcome to a new class. I hope you're ready to begin. He taught us a lot of things, and for once I understood everything. Él nos enseñó muchas cosas y por una vez entendí todo. So here we're looking at another verb in past simple that's irregular. Okay, we're studying a lot of irregular verbs in past simple. Here we have the verb to teach, enseñar, to teach. Okay, y the past simple of the verb to teach is irregular. Decimos taught. Repeat, taught. Muy bien. Now, ojo, we don't say nunca, decimos taucht, ni taucht. Okay, ese A-U-G-H-T es como si fuera O-T, simplemente. T-O-T, T-O-T. Suena así, taught, taught. Okay, so, for example, I taught a lot of students last week. Yo enseñé a muchos alumnos la semana pasada. I taught her the alphabet. Yo la enseñé a ella el alfabeto. Did I teach you last week? Yes, Hannah, you taught me last week. So again, the verb to teach in past simple is taught, taught. Okay, keep practicing this verb.
Podrías sacar tu lista personal de verbos irregulares y añadir el verbo to teach al grupo de verbos en el que está to catch, ya que el pasado de catch es caught y el de teach es taught. Caught y taught se pronuncian de manera similar, sin rastro de la G. Decimos caught y taught respectivamente. Veamos los siguientes ejemplos. Jerry taught me how to drive when I was 16. He also taught me a thing or two about life. Who taught you how to ride a bicycle?
Okay, great. Let's continue with our lesson. He taught us a lot of things, and for once, I understood everything. Él nos enseñó muchas cosas y por una vez entendí todo. So the expression here is por una vez, for once. So repeat, for once. For once, not once. Ojo, muy importante, the pronunciation, not once, pero once. Once. Okay, go, por una vez. For once, he helped me. Por una vez, me ayudó. For once, she came to class on time. Por una vez, ella vino a clase a tiempo. For once, he listened to me. Por una vez, me escuchó. Now, what's the word of our day? The word of the day is rarely. Repeat, rarely. Significa raramente. For example, he rarely pays. Él paga raramente. Pero for once, he paid. Por una vez, él pagó. So again, rarely, rarely is the word of our day, word of the day. So he taught us a lot of things, and for once, we listened. Por una vez, for once. Okay, so keep practicing this expression because it's quite common. See you in a minute.
For once significa por una vez, en el sentido de para variar. Suele tener un matiz de sarcasmo, como en la frase I did a lot of fun things with the kids and, for once, they thanked me for it. Es decir, hice muchas cosas divertidas con los niños y, por una vez, me lo agradecieron. Veamos los siguientes ejemplos. I remembered to include every name on the list, for once. For once, we went to the shop before we ran out of food. I answered the phone, and for once, it wasn't a salesperson.
Okay, we're almost done with our class, but let's repeat the sentence. Okay, I have one more thing to teach you. So he taught us a lot of things, and for once, I understood everything. Él nos enseñó muchas cosas y, por una vez, entendí todo. So we're looking at otro verbo, another verb that is irregular in past simple. Okay, the verb entender, to understand, to understand. Past simple, irregular, understood. Repeat, understood. Muy bien. So, for example, I understood everything. Yo entendí todo. I understood English when I was little. Yo entendí inglés cuando yo era pequeña. We understood the rules. Entendimos las reglas, las normas. So, again, the verb to understand in past simple is understood. Más ejemplos. He understood my explanation. I understood the format. He understood the class. Okay, so again, he understood, I understood, they understood. He taught us a lot of things, and for once, I understood everything. Okay, keep practicing.
Dedicamos el último teaching point de esta clase al pasado del verbo to understand, entender, que es understood. Igual que en el caso de understand, el acento en understood recae en la última sílaba, understood, no en la primera. Por cierto, el pasado del verbo to stand, estar de pie, es similar, stood. Veamos los siguientes ejemplos. I don't think Jude understood. Could you please repeat for him? This can't happen again. Understood? I'm so happy I understood a whole sentence.